Well, good evening, one and all. Then, thank you for joining in with our live stream this evening. A little late to the party. Hopefully, you can hear me loud and clear on YouTube. But just I guess a sort of short video tonight because you probably won't see me for another few weeks. Partly because if you've been living under a rock, you would have known by now that the Premier League has been postponed due to the outbreak of coronavirus. Now, as the title suggests, I'm going to sort of run you through what I think that means for Southampton for the next couple of weeks. So we know that Premier League has been suspended, and this was due to kind of the news that broke late last night. Mikel Arteta, Arsenal's head coach, contracted the virus. 3 Leicester City players also under the weather, and Chelsea's Hudson-Odoi also with the virus. And to some extent, the Premier League had to step in. It was an emergency meeting this morning, and we knew by kind of lunchtime that all games were suspended until the 4th of April. Now, I've got to say, health comes first. It is a global pandemic, absolutely wiping out all world sports. This afternoon we see the London Marathon being postponed until October. Formula One, golf, tennis, all across the world, the sports have been suspended. So I do say hello to, in the comments, just to let me know if you're there. Hello to Red and White 22. Good to have you with us. Alex, hopefully some better news this time round after kind of joining us after the Leicester game. But the global pandemic's put the Premier League on hold for at least 3 weeks. Now, what does that mean for Southampton and Southampton fans? Then I'm going to refer to the website, southamptonfc.com, about the issues about Norwich City tickets. Of course, we were due to travel there tomorrow. A long way to travel for a lot of fans, 4.5 to 5 hours. And some of them were already kind of set off today on trains and driven up and have got overnight accommodation. So I want to just read out the statement on the club website here. So bear with me if I'm not kind of looking at the camera here. So the website reads that the match tickets and official coach travel bookings for Norwich City will remain valid until the rescheduled date. So that's good news, But there's also some good news in case you're kind of wondering, is there a refund? Can we get a refund? And on travel as well. So fans who has purchased the match tickets or official coach travel for Norwich will be eligible for a refund once the game has been rescheduled. Here's the fine print though. At the point of the new date being confirmed, fans will be able to apply for refunds and they must submit these within 5 days of the new date being confirmed. No refunds will be processed before the new date is announced. We don't know when the new date, of course, is going to be. Premier League is on lockdown, a lot of sport, at least 3 weeks. We are remaining in limbo, I guess. It goes on to say the club will provide full refunds for any supporters who've paid for non-official transport to the Norwich game, providing that the bookings were made before midday on Friday the 13th of March. So this excludes any petrol, but you have to send them an email to tickets@saintsfc.co.uk with the title Norwich Travel Refund. So this is quite good news, actually. A lot of people kind of booked sort of train tickets, advanced tickets, and it's good that the club are kind of dipped into their pocket to refund fans in this case, which is a good thing to do because, we weren't expecting much here. But the tickets for future games still remain active. I'll get to more on sort of Everton a little bit later on as well, where they've kind of revised and suspended the ticket sales for those as well. Let me just go back to the comments, see if anybody else is there. Danny, what happens to our season tickets holders though? So, to be honest, again, we don't know too much information of that, but I would expect that the Premier League will continue at the point where it is safe to. I imagine the Premier League will reconvene in about 2 or 3 weeks' time to decide the future of the season. What I think is probably the best thing to do is suspend it until sort of further notice, until the pandemic has sort of died down a little bit, and we'll be playing into the summer. So I think, and it's going to be quite inevitable that the European Championships will be postponed until 2021 next year. I mean, as for Saints, we had 2 weeks off anyway due to Arsenal's progression in the FA Cup. So after this week, we faced a blank weekend next week. And of course, the internationals The week after, again, those have been suspended. Both England games at Wembley have been suspended. And of course, Champions League, Europa League also been suspended across the continent. So I think what Ralph could do in this case is, this could act as some sort of a spring break. We had this kind of winter break a couple of weeks ago. And to be honest, in hindsight, did we really need the winter break? Of course, nobody could foresee this virus outbreak across Europe and the world. But perhaps, had we not had this winter break this season, we could be closer to the end of the season and perhaps fewer games to play. So Ralph has got a bit of work to do then on the training pitch for the next couple of weeks to try and keep the players active, keep them fit. And, we'll see where we are in a couple of weeks' time with Watford to play at Vicarage Road. But it allows, the players that have been on the injury table recently, Nathan Redmond, gives him a chance to recover. He's been a huge miss to us recently. We're missing that sort of impetus, that directness, a bit of flair on that wide side of the pitch. But unfortunately for Moussa Djenepo, sent off at the weekend against Newcastle, he now faces a longer period without a game. A really tough personal time for him at the moment. So, the club have got to try and keep him busy and, try and keep the others active amongst the training regimes. Danny, your comment down there as well. How long was Redmond out for? Hopefully he's better when this resumes. Massively missed him. Yeah, absolutely right. And Redmond, his target was to return by the international weekend or, the Watford game in the Premier League. So gives him a chance to recover a little bit quicker. But I think we'll be playing games up until the end of May, into June, perhaps even to July, and it just won't be enough time for the internationals to recover for the European Championships. Elsewhere off the pitch, then the club have also announced that the ticket sales for Everton, which went on sale this morning, have been suspended. Of course, now until we know more information, they won't be able to announce whether the game, of course, will be going ahead. As I say, we don't know where we're going to be in 2 or 3 weeks' time. The government suggests that the pandemic could get worse. We're at sort of 4 weeks away of how the pandemic is developing in Italy. So it's a difficult time to manage. And as for Saints fans, it's kind of a case of a bit of respite. We've sort of 1 win in 7 recently. And a chance to kind of gather, our thoughts, go back to the training field. Let's go over to Raul in the comments. Realms of speculation, but when do we call the season over? Considering it could be a pre-season and the next season. Yeah, so brings me perfectly to some of my next points, in fact. I think the Premier League will be extended until the summer. But then it's a domino effect onto next season. So the players need at least kind of 8 weeks recovery over the summer. They they deserve a break. They're entitled to a break over the summer to spend time with their families, go on holidays and that sort of thing. But this whole outbreak is domino effects on the rest of, tournaments going into the future. European Championships will be postponed. The Premier League season will probably start late August at the very earliest, considering, let's say that we're in a healthy position to resume the Premier League in the 4th of April. But, of course, we won't know until a few weeks' time. So I'm not sure what Ralph will do with the lads. Obviously, they can't go away to Europe. They can't spend too much time sort of on the continent or none at all. And it's only essential personnel at Staplewood that are allowed this week. So it'd be only the training, the first team players, and the first team coaches, I would imagine. Let's go back to some comments here. I would resume the season and start a new season at the same time. So you play your first 9 games and it counts for the next season, but you're playing the last 9 games of last season after 9. Now that would be to the pit of exhaustion for the players. I think you've got to think about their welfare here as well, folks. Danny also adds down there as well. It sends a 3 down and 3 up. And, I don't think there's any case to abandon the Premier League this season. Just so many financial implications involved here. Aston Villa have got a game in hand and they could sort of argue that they could win that game, and that means their position in the Premier League next season. Equally for sort of Leeds and West Brom kind of running away with the Championship. They're entitled to a promotion. So too much financial implications. Thankfully for Saints, we're in a healthy position. 7 points I guess, from sort of Brighton and a few more points from the drop zone. So I think it's a case for Saints to regroup, to whatever they can, and sort of isolate themselves in the training field and minimise any risk. Because for me, I think there's probably going to be at least one or two outbreaks in every Premier League club in the division. We've seen Leicester, Chelsea, Arsenal. I'm sure there's a few more backstage in other clubs. But as for other things around the club at the moment, the stadium store will be closed. That's at the Superstore at the stadium, and ticket office sales will only be available online. So just keep your finger on a pulse and keep refreshing their website. And of course, we'll find out more information in a few weeks' time whether we'll be in a healthy position to resume the Premier League. Back to Danny there in the comments. Hopefully the pandemic doesn't come in June like they're warning us. Oh, and if the season does end now, Bournemouth go down. Yeah, funny that, innit? Right, we're actually going to speak about this pandemic more on our radio show tomorrow morning. Tune in on Voice 103.9 Voice FM. You can listen live on the radio show. Just quickly, back to Raoul in the comments there. Generally, we're considering having no relegation, just get 3 teams up. But they also have 18 teams in the regular league. How would you touch on club finances? Yes, finances is a good point, actually. Sky Sports, they are discussing sort of the future strategy in the next few weeks. Of course, no games to broadcast, and the clubs that are lower down in the pyramids are going to face a financial pit at the moment because they rely on the ticket sales, the gate receipts, whereas the clubs like Southampton in the Premier League are mostly reliant on kind of the broadcast money. So for Saints, we're in a healthy position in that respect, but I feel sorry for kind of lower league clubs, and perhaps it could also be a chance for people to go and watch their non-league team, because the non-league leagues, the national leagues conferences are still going ahead. So hopefully there will be a chance to get your football fix over the next couple of weeks. Eastleigh are in action tomorrow away at Notts County, and I think they're back home in a couple of weeks as well. Lots of games for them coming up. But Saints, chance to regroup, a bit of respite. As I say, back to my comments on the radio tomorrow. Tune in at 10 a.m, Voice FM radio, 103.9 in the local area, or digital radio. We're on the air for 2 hours tomorrow, covering the pandemic in more detail. We talk Newcastle, Magpie misery, if you like, and some match day, well, non-match day music in this case. But I think personally, it's a chance for us all to stock up. So plenty to get through in the next 3 weeks. Let me know what you're up to in the next 3 weeks, how you're going to get your football fix. But Saints, a chance to regroup, a chance for the injuries to recover, and Ralph to work a little harder with the team in Staplewood. And I guess we'll see that, of course, there's still no guarantee that we will be resuming the Premier League in a few weeks' time. So thanks for watching a really quick video. Hopefully, you've got a bit of hindsight into this. Lots of information. Just keep your eyes peeled on the social media channels. See you in a few weeks.